What's going on, guys? Coach Vic here. In today's video, we're going to be talking about getting on top. What does the cue mean? Is it helpful? Is it not? Is it real? Is it not? Let's get into it. Okay, guys, so getting on top. This is one of those misunderstood cues or phrases, call it old school, whatever you want to call it. It's one of those things that I see a lot of people saying that it's wrong. Or you got Josh Donaldson giving kids really quality advice and not listen to your coach. Okay, so I'm going to explain how and when getting on top is appropriate. Okay, so first off, it's about context. Okay, all about context. If it is a hit and run situation, typically we want a ground ball away from the middle of the field. So a coach may use the phrase get on top, in which case he means literally make contact with the top of the ball. Okay. Now there's another scenario where get on top is the same phrase, different scenario, different context. When we're talking about hitting pitches up in the strike zone, okay, especially pitches with some velocity, okay, pitches up in the strike zone become a challenge for many hitters. Okay, one of the reasons is if we have a swing where the hitter is dropping their hands prematurely or as they start their swing and their hands start to dip down, it's going to be more and more difficult to get on plane with that pitch and be able to actually drive it or to hit it with any authority. Most of the time, it'll end up getting missed altogether, foul tipped, or popped up. At some point, pitches up in the zone with any kind of velocity become much, much harder to hit. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater, if you've ever heard that saying. It's we're disregarding it, but we're throwing out some good things with it, right? It is a very valid and very helpful cue if it's understood and if the coach or the trainer is using it in the correct context. So here is a video of Jose Bautista hitting a home run a handful of years ago in the playoffs about chest height, letter height, and I'm going to break it down a little bit and give you some visuals as to what it means to get on top. So here's Jose Bautista, okay? We got two different views of the same home run. I'll play it through just so you can kind of take a look at it first. Jumps all over this thing. I'm not sure the velocity, I forget, but it was definitely a fastball, probably in the low to mid 90s up at the top of the zone. You see about chest height. Boom. Okay. Now I pre-marked it for the blue line represents the height of the pitch at contact in relation to Bautista himself, right? So here, I'll take this other one back. Let's get to contact. Boom, there's contact, as close as I can get it. Now the pitch, the blue line on the left-hand side represents the path, the downward path of the ball, and then the blue line on the right is just simply to mark the height of the pitch, right, from the different views. So one of the better ways of thinking about it, I think, is to think about the blue line as like a shelf, like a bookshelf. We're going to call this the bottom shelf. Okay. Now, the other thing that I'm going to highlight here, I'm going to take Bautista to launch, and then I'm going to highlight his hands. There's his hands. Okay, I'm going to go back to contact. Hands are right in this area right here. Okay. Barrel below the hands. We know in the swing that the barrel is always going to be lower than the hands when we're talking about ideal position for contact. Okay, the barrel is going to be below the hands. So in order to get the barrel on a pitch elevated in the zone, knowing that the hands are going to be above the barrel, the hands definitely have to be above the ball. Okay, and so this is where we're going with this, is that the hands have to stay on a flatter, not flat, 100% flat. The hands are working across the top and above the bottom shelf. Therefore, his hands need to work on the top shelf. So there's two different ways of thinking about it. Okay, as you can see here, I'll take him to contact on the right. There's contact on the right. Now it's not a super obvious because this pitch is so high that it is difficult to see the differences. But the only way that he is going to be successful at driving this pitch is by keeping his hand on that quote unquote top shelf. Okay. Like we said, we know the barrel's below the hands. In order to hit the middle center of the baseball and hit this ball with authority, then we're going to need to keep our hands above the path of the ball. So let's say that the pitch is somewhere in this zone. Okay. It's not going to be difficult to get your hands keep your hands above the ball. Right, because the pitches will be lower in the lower parts of the strike zone, it's going to be much easier for your hands to work above the baseball, which is often why, if the coach or trainer is using this in the correct context, like myself, for example, I'm never going to tell a hitter to stay on top of a ball that is down from the knees to the belt, because that's never usually the issue. Right? Even if they drop their hands a little bit, they could scoop under it a little and maybe, but for the most part, that doesn't happen very often. But what happens is when the pitches get up in the strike zone, above or top of the zone, and the hands of the hitter are dropping a little bit, like if, let's say, for example, Bautista right here on the left, see how he works across the green line? Let's say his hands started to dip down there. He would have no chance at being able to catch up to this high fastball. He would either miss it completely or foul tip or pop it up. So this is what it means to get on top of the baseball. Think of it more so as a feel, as a cue, and think of it more so as like being on the top shelf with your hands, working across the chest, being able to get on plane with that pitch up in the zone and be able to drive the thing out of the park, or at least with just some authority. Like I said, the higher the pitch goes, the lower our success rate is going to be, the more you need to be able to stay on top. Okay. So again, context, guys, communicate with your coach. Okay. If you hear your coach saying, get on top of the baseball, ask him what he means. Does he mean like in a hit and run or move a runner over situation where he literally wants you to hit the ball on the ground? Well, then get on top is perfectly relevant. Okay, perfectly valid. If we're talking about hitting pitches up in the zone and the coach is saying get on top, well, then maybe this is what he's referring to. But you got to ask and you got to find out and have him explain what he means by get on top. Don't tell him no. Don't take Josh Donaldson's advice and tell him no. Just ask him what he means. Another point to make here is why we do a lot of high T. So high T can kind of simulate obviously a high pitch, but a high velocity pitch in the zone. And that is where a high pitch, a high T, you can almost think about hitting the ball on the ground, but hitting on top of the ball, but you're not actually going to hit the top of the ball due to the height of the pitch. It makes it nearly impossible to actually hit the ball down on a high T when you're taking fundamentally correct swing. Get on top is not all bad. We have to understand it and apply it in the right moment, and we can benefit from it. Okay, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know. Hit subscribe, hit the like button if you enjoyed it. That lets me know that you want me to make more content like this. Drop a comment below. Does your coach use the phrase, get on top? Did you know what it meant before this video? Let me know in the comments below. I'll see you in the next one.